The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. From the heart of Broadway in historic downtown Cape Girardeau, this is Pro Wrestling Unscripted. It's April 17th, 2019, and you are locked on to the best pro wrestling podcast in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. It's Pro Wrestling Unscripted here on the Podzilla 1985 network, and that's assuming there are no other podcasts.
Technically, right? It's the best kind of right.
My name is Shannon Young. I'm going to be your host tonight, Mr. 100. With me, as always, the five-star man, Acer Gray.
Ghost things. Haunted things. Haunted stuff. I don't know.
And ghost bait.
Ghost bait.
I thought you were going to say
These woods are
bait next. I'm like, that's not right.
These woods are scary.
The incomparable Ali Abear.
Why?
Don't.
That's a compliment.
Because he's building up to this.
Don't. It's a dumb thing.
She's turned down so hard. All right, Ali, go ahead.
I'm sorry, what?
keep talking.
I'm not sure I want to talk to you right now.
That is the best way to talk to Shannon Young. And to the left,
No.
the insufferable
You son of a.
Dalton Anthony.
It's the big D.
The big D, Dalton Anthony.
There you go. Thank you.
The big insufferable. Big insufferable. that could be your name whenever you're like if you're ever in a stable and you're like, and big insufferable, the big eye.
I don't know why I heard Lillian Garcia in like the WWE intro,
2K.
like just pieced together the big insufferable.
Dalton Anthony.
Oh, there's a weird cutoff too.
Yeah, every time.
Allie,
Jimmy Uso.
what's wrong?
You know what's wrong. You're being mean to me for no reason.
For no reason.
You literally just got here. I haven't had a chance to be mean to you yet.
That's pretty impressive that you've been that mean that quick.
Dalton did have a question for you, though. You were interested about something.
What's a slime tunnel?
Oh my god.
That legitimately broke Shannon. He knew it was coming.
And so did the slime tunnel, apparently.
Oh! I don't know. Yeah, I'll high five it. And I'm sleeping on the couch.
Shannon Young.
Good. I feel like I should sleep on the couch. I don't know what's happening.
Now, Allie, to be fair,
What?
let's just get to wrestling.
No,
This is the greatest show. No, I want to know what your...
No bullshit. Allie's my favorite Allie.
That's also my favorite, Allie, to be fair.
No. What were you going to say? You said now
No, it's
Allie.
fine. Wrestling.
No, I was going to say
It's already
that
8:45.
I was going to say that I gave no context to any of that stuff because I thought it's just a funny term and it's kind of gross. And then I told Dalton, and Dalton loves funny, gross terms, so he ran with it. Slime tunnel. I think that was in Ghostbusters too. We just lost the Cody vote. Yep. All right, let's talk. You want to talk about wrestling?
Yeah.
Please.
Allie?
Go for it.
Jesus. Well, let's start with my favorite topic, and it's at the top of the list. Jim Cornette.
Which, I meant to tell you
call him
before
now.
the show of like, we get to talk about Jim Cornette and he's actually kind of in the right.
What?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, so full disclosure, before the show tonight, Dalton showed me pieces of Joey Janela's Spring Break where the Invisible Man fought Invisible Stan. Allie. The Invisible Man fought Invisible Stan.
It was great.
And there was a guy with no legs that wrestled.
He was awesome.
And what was the other one? Oh, Orange Cassidy.
Versus Taka Michinoku.
And he's the coolest dude. So when I saw Jim Cornette, I just assumed it was about that. It was going to be Jim Cornette hates everything. But it turns out it's something different. Now the headline says Jim Cornette has threatened to sue T Public with a lawsuit via Twitter. What is going on there?
So, T Public is a t-shirt aggregate site, kind of like Redbubble, I think, where you can get a bunch of just t-shirts that artists put up their artwork and put it on t-shirts and they sell them.
Like we did with Podzilla,
Right.
before Toho.
And kind
got a hold
of
of us.
like we did. It's just, that's where you go, like, those like prints and stuff you see at conventions where people are putting like, oh, here's a bunch of Pikachus dressed as different Doctor Who's.
Yeah.
And they're all coming out of the TARDIS, like stuff like that, where it's clearly copyrighted material that they don't hold the copyright to, even remotely.
Right.
But they're selling these images because it's artwork. It's one of those because someone tweeted at Jim Cornette a picture of the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette. Like it was like an artist drawing of them. And he's like, yeah, no, we're not getting any money off that. Hey, and then so he tweets TeePublic, the website, like, hey, this is copyright material you don't own the copyright to, And my lawyer, who he then tags on Twitter, is like, I'm sure would be very interested in this. The lawyer even responds like, yes, I am actually quite interested in this.
Now, if it's a place like Redbubble, they don't they don't vet any of those, do they? Like they just
I don't think so.
I think it's just people put out whatever they want, and then if there's a copyright claim or something, they take it down.
Yeah. So, but I think it's just kind of interesting. Like it was kind of interesting that he like
tagged his lawyer,
did it via Twitter and tagged his lawyer, who responded.
So when you say, I'm curious about this, when you say that they had the thing up, do you know, was it like just a straight up picture? Was it a drawing someone had made?
I can try to find the.
Because if it was a picture, that yeah, absolutely. But
no, I'm pretty sure it was it was a drawing
that a fan did and then sold it.
And then I don't even know if a fan did it and sold it, or if it was just like someone took art someone had done.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, Allie. You're more familiar with these things than I am. If you draw something like. What is the legality of taking something and drawing it? Because isn't there if it's parody or something like that, you can legally sell it?
There are parody laws that go with the plagiarism laws, but those are very gray. Like they run it by percentage, and I think every state has a different view on what is considered parody and what is considered plagiarism. Mm-hmm. How people at like cons and stuff get away with selling artwork that is like just a drawing of Pikachu, is that the person isn't buying it has something to do with like you are buying their work. You're not buying what the image is.
I get what you're going for.
It's kind of in the way like at Gaming Ground, you're not...
Shit, dropped a name there.
You've dropped it many times.
I was actually going to say it's like here where you you don't rent out the game, you rent out the space.
Yes.
And the game is just there.
Mm.
So it's similar to that.
Right. That shirt has also been taken down.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was searching for. That's why I've been quiet.
And that doesn't surprise me because I mean, a place like that would rather just take down this one thing than face legal trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that being said, the same person has a really awesome Hollywood Blonde shirt.
Yeah, because they still have shirts up there of wrestlers. Yeah.
They have like a Bam Bam.
So
if he did that himself, and I don't know if he did or not, but if he did it himself, like I feel like that's something he should be able to sell because like you said, it's a gray area, man. Because it's like videos. Let's say videos on YouTube. When RGT85 was talking about it the other day, when you make a video on YouTube, even though it's copyrighted material that you put in there, you are putting the time and effort and editing into making this, and the fact that like Nintendo can demonetize you for showing 11-second clip instead of a 10-second clip, like that's just kind of ridiculous. That you should be paid for the work that you do, even if you are using someone else's stuff in it. And I kind of agree with that, but I also kind of agree that
you shouldn't you shouldn't really be able to profit off of the intellectual property of
because that's the whole thing of like how we wouldn't be a fan if somebody started selling bootleg CCW shirts.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally the same thing. Like, and again, Jim Cornette's completely in the right. Like, if he did not okay somebody selling that shirt and he's not seeing money off of it, he has every right to get it shut down.
Because this is his original tweet. Because he had two tweets. Hey, at Stephen P. New, who's his lawyer, a website is ripping off retired wrestlers by selling their shit and not paying any royalties. Anything to be done about this, such as suing them into bankruptcy if they don't get their shit together. Which his lawyer then responds with, whoever is having their likenesses protected, trademarks, etc. violated needs to get in touch with me. We will start a cease and desist, then go from there. We also need to talk about making sure everyone has their stuff appropriately protected at the Patent and Trademark Office. And then Jim Cornette quote tweets his tweet talking to Stephen P. New and says, "Hi, T-Public. I'm Jim Cornette, and my attorney is at Stephen P. New. And if you keep selling my face and name on your shirts, we're all going to get to know each other very fucking well." With that last part in all caps.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's Jim Cornette.
And
that's
the first comment is at Stephen P. New, whose profile picture is a dude in sunglasses.
Why does that not surprise me?
Yeah.
I'm Stephen P. New. I'm sure that Mr. Cornette can rally other professional wrestlers and others to sue you for likeness, copyright, and trademark infringement. From this day forward, any act will be willful and knowing, and you'll owe not only my clients, but damages will be 3 times. not sure how legally binding or valid legal
damaging
threat
us 3
that
times.
is. But again,
Well, that's some serious.
That's his. Oh, those are Photoshop sunglasses.
Nice.
That's substantially better.
The only thing that would make that better if he had a Photoshop blunt in his mouth and it said like "deal with it" or something. Yeah. So that's some serious stuff though, because I remember part of the reason they stopped doing the NCAA games on Xbox and PS3 was because the college players sued for using their likeness in their games, even though they didn't have their names.
No. The one that got it shut down, they were using names.
They had names too.
Yeah, because it was like a not Road to Glory. It was like Hall of Fame or Race for the Heisman, where you could actually take it was like Matt Leinart, Bo Jackson, like actual legitimate.
People who were no longer like in college, but they were using them like during their college years.
Because The Rock was in one of those games.
Because
from Miami.
Because the way the NCAA worked out, which is a whole other topic that a lot of people are it's a very contentious topic as well. But like college athletes cannot be compensated in any way.
You can't pay them.
But once they leave the college, and then like Dalton said, you're using these like all-time greats in the college division and even many who went pro.
Right.
You're then using their likenesses, but they still weren't getting paid because that was still. It was during their time in the NCAA, which they couldn't get. It was a weird thing, but yeah.
Right.
So they eventually just like, all right, well, we're scrapping the whole franchise.
Which they have since like 2013.
They haven't released any new NCAA franchises,
which was a bummer because that was a substantially better football game.
Agreed.
You know else who really liked those games?
Who?
AJ Styles.
Yeah, they were good.
games.
They were amazing football games. I would play NCAA more than Madden.
I remember one of his first up, down, down appearances. He talked about that.
My favorite part of those games was when I would make my own character. This was back like when I was not. It was after college, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I would look on there and I'd make a player and I'd be like, okay, what colleges are in it? Was Shawnee in it? And then I knew the answer to that.
Right.
But it was never.
I mean,
in it.
Simo
But
probably wasn't even.
Simo was on it.
Oh, really?
Simo was in it, which was pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, good on Jim Cornette on that. It's good that he can.
It's good that he's actually, and not just the fact that it's him, but he's like other wrestlers, because like someone on that Reddit thread put a story of they were wearing a Ted DiBiase shirt and DiBiase was spelled wrong. And he met DiBiase wearing that shirt and he's like, well, I didn't make any money off that, did I? So it is kind of like, it's, when you have people, especially in light of like the John Oliver stuff,
Right.
who Cornette also commented on.
What do you say about that?
He was very positive about it.
It was mixed.
Because I saw Matt Hardy said that all of John Oliver's arguments were outdated, that the WWE paid for every one of his surgeries.
Right, because he was injured in the ring.
And it's still missing the underlying problem that John Oliver was talking about, but whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
No, all of the office like sanctioned responses have been very like intentionally missing the point. Cornette was very much like, no, WWE actively 100% is violating the whole independent contractor thing. Yeah. Not a single thing of theirs holds up to the actual definition. And the reason that none of these lawsuits are really taking off the ground is because they're going at the people who are getting lawyers are getting ambulance chasers, is what he called them, instead of getting someone who knows what they're doing. And they should be going, you get a lawyer who knows what he's talking about and you go after that independent contractor status, they're going to crumble.
Yeah.
But then he also said, like, but if you're someone who's only worked there for like a year, you're not really entitled to. And that's where he kind of like lost me.
That sounds great.
It was like they shouldn't have to pay for everything for the rest of your life, but it's like no one's saying that. But like you should have like a pension plan built in, because even if you don't work, like if I don't work at my current job, like until I die, like that doesn't mean that I necessarily lose all of that like pension. It just goes to it. Like that's a separate fund that adults know about.
Unfortunately, I drank my pension the other week from my store.
That Pepsi?
Yeah. That was a mistake.
So like,
should have saved it.
And the other thing about like that, like, yeah, you can go to T Public and like, yeah, they had a really cool Hollywood Blonde shirt, but there's better, more legal ways to give money to the wrestlers that you like.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin has a
pro wrestling tees.
Lots of guys do.
Yeah. Like I was just on the page to see if Cornette had one. Give me 1 second.
I feel like he does, because like
he doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's surprising.
That is surprising.
Well, it could be one of those just like he might be above it or might think that he's above it or something like that.
Or he might have his own store or something
that
like
could
that.
be a thing. I'm checking really quick.
Because with pro wrestling tees, like the cool thing is you have actual sanctioned artwork done by, sometimes it's the wrestlers themselves, or it's people who just support the wrestlers and like, hey, I make this art. If they sell, that, and they at least get credit.
Right.
Which granted, exposure is not a viable source of, like artists.
It's not going to feed your family.
Artists can't really do much with exposure, but there's something to be said to have your name like attached to a design. And there absolutely are cases where the people who they sell the designs to then be, so they at least are getting some money. Yeah, and then the wrestlers are getting a cut.
Or it's a stepping point into something else.
Yeah.
Not a great comparison, but a couple of employees from Bethesda started as modders on games for Bethesda. Mm-hmm. They would create free mods, and they were so good at it, Bethesda was like, hey, why don't you come work for us?
Yeah. Come in, instead of finishing our games, do the early part, and then let someone else finish your work.
Finish the game.
Yeah, so, so Stone Cold has a wrestling t-shirt, or at Pro Wrestling.
Ciampa does.
Ciampa has one. Brian Pillman Jr. So you can literally give money to Stone Cold and Brian Pillman's son.
Right.
Who those are the people that should be getting that money, because at the end of the day, like.
But the problem with that is that I bet those. Well, actually, no. How much was that shirt? Do we know how much those shirts are?
The one that I saw was like retailing for $20, but it was on sale for $13.
The one that was on the fake site.
Public, yeah.
And how much are the shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees?
$20 to $25.
See, that's negligible.
No, yeah, because even because our stuff on Redbubble was like super
ridiculously
expensive.
priced. That's why we took it off of it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, and I'm not amazing at like saying this is a good thing, because like if anybody really saw my shirt at Cape, like Square Enix would be sending me a phone call.
People love squalor. I know that for a fact, and people love cheap stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you give somebody an option of, hey, you can buy the official T-shirt for $30 or buy this bootleg, that's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like those damn Nintendos. When the Nintendo Classic came out, people were buying them, but then they have a cheaper bootleg Nintendo that's out, which has 3 times the games. Half of them don't work.
Yeah,
Soulja Boy.
But Soulja Boy.
An eighth of the quality.
But my God, people bought them left and right because they were cheaper. It's a shitty thing.
Not Soulja Boys, but yeah.
People were buying it.
I would like to see some numbers from Soulja Boy.
So would Nintendo's lawyers.
We would be doing Nintendo a favor.
It'd be great if it was the same lawyer as Cornette's and he just had those glasses on. His future's so bright he needs fake shades. Let's move on. Talk about this. This one's actually a pretty sad story, and I was sad to see
There's actually a lot of sad stories this week.
Yes. Luke Harper requested his release via Twitter this week. I read the statement. It was heartfelt. And a lot of people are saying the reason he did this in public was because the last few people that have done it in public were granted their release, and they didn't, like the WWE didn't try to keep them. They just let him go. I think Luke Harper has been healthy for how long now, and just completely not used?
It's been months.
Yeah, it's been a couple months, yeah.
And he's just been sitting there watching other people do stuff.
Well, he did the Access shows at WrestleMania. So, like, they have WrestleMania Access. They actually have a full ring set up, and they will do matches.
Which Ryan Satin was like, hey, go out of your way to watch this Luke Harper Dijakovic match, whatever the fuck his name is now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's gonna be on these like 3 NXT shows, and then it's probably gonna be a while till we see him.
Just call him Django.
Because you saw what...
Yeah, you probably didn't see it, but he tried to... they kind of saddled him with a...
I did see.
European elitist character.
The purification.
And then he went full like white nationalist accidentally. Like, I don't think he meant to. But he, regardless of intent, you kind of overstepped some boundaries there. So his Twitter has since been deleted.
He said he was there to purify the.
The people are as dirty as the streets of North America, because like he's from Europe and Europe's better.
Well, yeah.
Which there was a guy who had that thought as well.
Oh yeah, was it like
didn't go super well?
What wrestler was it? Like what organization?
So remember in Avengers when he's like, the last time I came to Germany and he thought he was above everybody, we didn't see eye to eye. Avengers is really good. It's a fun movie. Anyway,
was it Captain America?
Yeah, it was Captain America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he had that match with Dijak.
Yes, we'll call him Dijak.
Only because I forget his new name because they added syllables. And they'll probably just shorten it back down to Dijak whenever he eventually...
Dijakovic.
There it is. Dijakovic.
It'll be the European experience.
So he had that match.
Oh, fuck you and fuck that.
Oh, I wondered who was going to be the first one to get one out.
No, because it makes me legitimately angry. I'm not going to make myself mad.
So he had that match, and Satin was like, hey, or Satine, I don't remember how you say his name. Was like, everyone should go out of their way to check this. And Luke Harper responded with, how many stars would you give it? Wait, wrong guy. Because Luke Harper is awesome. Yeah. So yeah, he put out this
incredible talent.
Apparently, he has not been granted his release, at least not yet. As of the time we're recording this, he apparently has until November is when his contract expires. But WWE could freeze him out for the 5 months or 6 months that he was injured. Because that's what happened with Rey Mysterio, is they kept him for all the times that he was sidelined because he just stopped. He started sending their checks back. So potentially he could get released tomorrow. They could just grant him the release and send him on his way. Or they could
hold him,
be shitty, and
this is when your contract's
not just
up.
hold him till his contract ends, but that time
It's like a 6 month freeze, isn't there?
Yeah, because that's how long he was hurt. Like for the time that he was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's one of those things where that roster, when you look at it in WWE, is so bloated that
of talent too.
Yeah, of incredible talent, including so it's like you don't have anything to do with Luke Harper.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be kidding me.
And not to throw shade on anybody else, because I think anybody that gets in that ring, like if you're in WWE and you're getting in the ring and doing stuff, they see something in you that you're at that level. Mm-hmm. But from a personal standpoint, you've got Jinder Mahal doing stuff, but you don't have a spot for Luke Harper.
Or
Luke Gallows.
Right.
Yeah. Hell.
I mean,
lots
honestly,
of Lukes.
but even still,
Tex Ferguson Jinder has so much money for them.
Jinder hasn't done anything recently. Like, he hasn't been on TV in a while.
Just suck and die occasionally.
Just suck and die.
Which is unfortunate. I think we should also mention, I don't see it on the list, and you can't really put too much into this, but the rumors going around about Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I intentionally left those off.
And the rumors about Alexander Wolf.
No, well, that's on there.
Oh, it is?
Wolf is on there?
Yeah. I thought if I didn't put in Wolf,
because I don't think I saw Wolf.
He kind of did a similar thing. I don't see Wolf on here.
Okay, then I
Wolf
left him
wrote
off
a goodbye message, or at least it sounded like a goodbye message.
Because I was going to tie him into to this, because Killian Dane put out an Instagram post about because Sanity is split. Eric Young was the only one drafted to Raw.
Right.
So Killian Dane put out a really nice post about the end of Sanity. And then Alexander Wolf also put a post up about it, but his ended with "Goodbye WWE."
Yeah, thanked him for the ride. And there's been a bunch of reports that he asked for his release, or he was released. None of that has been confirmed yet.
Yeah.
And there's also reports going around that he is going back to NXT, which
could be goodbye WWE.
Yeah. So goodbye WWE, because he's going back to NXT. Which honestly, I think he would do great back in NXT,
because he did great.
Yeah, with Sanity, because they actually this is a cool thing that we have. We can actually use it.
Let's do it
instead of just shelve it for whatever reason.
So I really need to find that elite now.
I'm curious about the Sasha Banks things. Why you didn't put it on there? Just because it's rumor and conjecture right now.
Just because there is so much bullshit rumors about her and Bayley throwing a literal tantrum, laying on the floor,
which apparently went to multiple sources, but that does not mean that. Doesn't mean it's true.
It was one of those things where it went from a source to one person, and then internet dirt sheets are just quoting the same story, that same initial bullshit story.
Well,
it's going all the way around.
There was another site that had posted, "We got the same story, but we didn't run with it because we thought it was rumor. But if you were saying it happened, if you got it too, then maybe there's something to it." And I'm not saying it's true.
But then a bunch of other places are like, "Yeah, that never happened." Like, we have multiple sources.
But we do know the facts is Sasha's off TV. Mm-hmm. She canceled an appearance on Wendy Williams last minute, which, that aside.
Which good, because fuck Wendy Williams.
We've talked about that recently and kind of learned more about I learned more about her that I did not know.
Ace and I were very aware.
Yeah, I was not. She also, which she said was a family emergency, and then she went on vacation, which was whatever. Like, maybe that was the whole plan. She took time off. I don't know. But it's one of those things that there's smoke. We just don't know what the smoke's from.
And that's the thing, is it's like, but the whole WWE says they've given her 2 weeks to make up her mind with what she wants to do, and there's so much unknown stuff.
And that sounds so weird when people say that.
Yeah,
the only thing she walked out on us. Let's give her some time to think this out. It's not like Lars Sullivan, where he had a panic attack and they're like, take some time off.
We don't even know that she walked out.
Right.
We don't know what the plan was. They may have decided, okay, well, since we are ending the tag team, which they knew ahead of time.
Which Bayley's on SmackDown now.
Yeah, which honestly, and if Sasha is pissed, I get it. Imagine, being in her position of her and Bayley working for months to try to introduce this tag team division so that the women can have another opportunity to be spotlighted. So they finally get the tag team championship match. They finally get that tag team championship implemented. They win the championships. They are then given promos to talk about how they are going to be defending it on Raw, on SmackDown, on NXT, any challengers. We'll take on anybody. They then have one successful title defense.
Did they? I'm being serious.
Maybe.
Did they?
I don't remember if it was a title defense, but they had one match against the Iconics. They beat the Iconics.
Oh, that's right.
On SmackDown.
Yeah, and then the Iconics won the titles.
So then they are given nothing to do with the championships. They then not only lose the championships at WrestleMania after roughly a month of even holding them, but then the team is broken up entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I completely understand why you would be pissed.
Well, and
it's that it goes back to that whole like you reach for the brass ring,
yeah,
but you're not the person that should have it right now.
Conspiracy theory moment, and just a conspiracy theory moment. Don't jump down my throat here. I'm just throwing it out. But the thought that the only reason Bayley was moved to SmackDown was in response to this happening, that it was a last minute call of, okay, we're going to split you guys apart as punishment. Now,
everything's been saying
I don't necessarily believe that.
Everything like of all of these stories that are going around, everything seems to indicate that they were told, hey, you're losing the championship and we're splitting the team. So they knew before WrestleMania.
She's still booked. Sasha Banks is still booked for what's
Money
the
in
next
the
one?
Bank.
Money in the Bank?
Yeah.
I predict she will show up, and I predict that everything will continue.
Because now you actually have that bargaining chip. You have AEW.
Right.
You can be like, oh, well, if you're not going to use me right, AEW might. And when you look at the level of talent that they're signing, like, I believe it.
And there's almost a part of me that, like, hates that that's a thing that you could just go, oh, well, I guess I'll just go over here then.
No, I absolutely love that.
Well, no, but at the same time, that other part of me is like, man, fuck WWE.
Welcome to the Attitude Era, though.
Not even fuck WWE. It's just like, it goes back to the whole thing. I was talking to somebody on Facebook, like, a conversation about this recently, like, private message of just like, I want AEW to survive because you need that. You need the competition. That'll make the product better. But at the same time, I also want more people making more money.
Yeah.
Like, unless you are the Young Bucks or Cody, there's not a whole lot of money out there for, like, professional to live like a WWE superstar.
Right.
And they're beating their bodies up just as much. That money should be there. That's what AEW is providing. Hopefully at the moment. We don't know a lot yet.
Yeah, it's all in the early. We're in the early stage,
and it's also, like I said, it's not new because, like, look at the Attitude Era, and it was both. It was both sides. Ric Flair, there's a story that he was circling a Raw event after he left Nitro because he was so pissed off and was just trying to figure out, like,
they shit all over Ric Flair.
He was on the phone with his lawyer, like, hey, how much like trouble would we get in if I just showed up on Raw?
I mean, Lex Luger.
Yeah.
Lex Luger literally showed up on a WWF pay-per-view, and the next night was on Nitro because he had a handshake agreement.
Pat Patterson was so happy about that.
Rick Rude showed up on both shows the same night, which
had never been done before.
I was younger, so I didn't understand how things worked, and I'm like, wait, he's
change the channel back. Change the channel back. How is he here?
Who else is going to show up on Nitro?
How does he have less facial hair?
What the hell's going on over here? So Luke Harper probably done with WWE. Very sad.
Yeah,
because I'm such a big.
Remember
fan of
when
Luke
we
Harper.
were speculating that he was going to get added to that Orton Wyatt WrestleMania WWE Championship match because he was super over and was just like a
I think
part of
even
that story?
he mentioned that in one of his tweets or whatever, was talking about how he went from that to the Access match.
Yeah.
And which is just a shame because the crowd was so behind Luke Harper. Like, I don't think it would have gotten to Kofi levels just because Kofi had been there for so long.
Yeah.
But Luke Harper had the buzz behind him. If they would have they don't have to strap the rocket to him.
Luke Harper's
just give him a sparkler.
Luke Harper is the kind of guy who could be a believable threat to whatever championship you decided to put him.
He reminds me a lot, and I know obviously he reminds me a lot of Jake Durden. Big, strong, take no shit, just looks like he's crazy kind of guy.
Yeah.
And wrestling needs those guys. Bruiser Brody is the first example I always think of.
Oh yeah, him as Brody Lee was amazing.
Yeah.
Luke Harper legitimately has like the most scariest suicide dive in the world because it's so he's so big. That's so much human like hurtling at you.
And I'm a writer at heart. I've always been a writer. I love entertainment. I love theatrics and stuff like that. He has the best facial look.
Yeah.
His eyes, his like everything,
those crazy ass eyes.
Everything about him is like money.
I'm gonna be watching NXT.
But then you watch him on Up Up Down Down, and he is just the nicest.
Oh yeah,
human, yeah.
Like just the quiet.
He was a
librarian.
He was a librarian.
I'm making no noise.
Yeah, Mister. Can I get? You know what? I don't need the book. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna head out because he just gives you those.
How many books do I have to read to look like you?
I'm returning everything on time always.
When he gives you that look, the panties don't come off; they go higher. They like strangle you almost because you're so unaroused, but also kind of aroused.
But so Luke Harper asked for his release. We don't know about Alexander Wolf. He could still just be going to NXT.
Or Sasha Banks. She could show up tomorrow.
It's one of those things like until we actually get something concrete, it's all just rumor and speculation.
Here's not a rumor, unfortunately. Big E has announced he has a torn meniscus.
Yep.
That's a bummer.
Which I wondered why Kevin Owens was in the New Day on SmackDown.
It happened
over the weekend.
It happened on Tuesday, last Tuesday, whenever during their match with the Bar. He caught Cesaro on a suicide dive or something, and tore his meniscus. They weren't sure initially like how bad it was. It looked like he needed surgery because he was tweeting Tuesday, not like last night, in a hospital gown.
Yeah, I saw that.
He could be, because it was one of those things where it's like he may still be there, just he can't wrestle.
Right.
So, but we don't have.
So he can still be on TV. He just can't do anything.
But we don't. But now that if he's had surgery, we don't know how accurate those reports are going to be anymore. So yeah, they did the Big O thing.
And you know who I feel really bad for?
Kevin Owens,
Zack Ryder's friend, the Big O.
Nah.
All right, please don't tell me the dude's a piece of shit too, or is it just because he looks douchey?
No, I mean, I never liked him.
I liked
him. But apparently, like, he just also super sucks because
that's what I heard.
Zack Ryder couldn't get him a job at developmental,
and that was back when Zack Ryder was like as hot as possible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude had a killer body and a pretty decent personality. But Ace is giving me the coffee. He wants to drink some coffee motion. Mm-hmm. Me too. Ooh, I can do some coffee. Yeah. So whatever. His dad would be a good wrestler too. Zack Ryder's
cowboy
dad.
hat. His finisher's just put a cowboy hat in someone's face. They're blinded.
Other injury news: Nia Jax reportedly has 2 torn ACLs.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it sucks.
That's another one that it's all kind of on rumor, like nothing's been officially stated. But she was Beth Phoenix, I think, tweeted something about her working hurt through WrestleMania. And that's the thing is like there's so much injury news.
Yeah.
Because I didn't put it on the list, but apparently Daniel Bryan is hurt, and WWE is very like closed chest about it. Like they aren't even mentioning it because
are we talking about like head injury? Or?
That's the thing is like no one knows. But when he had to step away for the reasons he had to step away, it's kind of and look at how did that match end with Kofi stomping on his head, doing those stomps again. So
not as brutal as Daniel's though.
No,
Daniel's are way more brutal.
But whenever he has that history of issues, then yeah. So but yeah, Daniel Bryan's hurt. Ember Moon.
To the people out there who are like laughing about Nia, like, well, good. That's what you get.
Honestly, like even on the subreddit, like Squared Circle, it was a lot of just like, yeah, we don't like Nia, but you don't want to see this happen to someone. Like,
good. That's the reaction you want to see.
Yeah, we wanted her not on TV as much, but not for this reason.
Well, it's like when Roman Reigns got the leukemia thing, where they're like, everybody's like, oh, I wish she was gone. What is it?
Oh no.
Well, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, granted, you're gonna have the shitty people being shitty because it's just the internet, but no, but it sucks because, like I said, Beth Phoenix had tweeted something about her working hurt, and I think that's part of just WrestleMania season. Is everybody wants to
they push as hard as possible
because it's WrestleMania. Like Ember Moon came back like 4 months early from injury to be in that women's battle royal.
Yep,
which is insane and kind of scary. And it's like, no, just take your time though.
Get healed.
Rush it in, like yeah.
AJ Styles says he suffered a minor hip injury at Mania, but it's nothing serious.
Yeah, which he wrestled on Monday. Apparently on the Superplex, he landed funny. And whenever he landed it, because he did a Mixer stream and like was just talking to people, and he mentioned like, yeah, he landed.
I haven't heard Mixer in a while, man. And that's on Xbox, isn't it?
I was gonna say, well, I watched the Inside Xbox thing last night, so I have heard it fairly recently. But like when he landed, like on his hip landed funny, and that ended like caused some swelling. So like if you go back and rewatch like the end of that match, like his 450 isn't as, or his phenomenal forearm wasn't as beautiful as it usually is. It was only just like super pretty.
Wrestling is scary.
Yeah, because we got Big E's hurt, Daniel Bryan's hurt,
Nia
potentially Nia's hurt. AJ had a scare. Like I wouldn't say he's hurt. Yeah, it's.
And then you had what I think it's not an injury.
This is the one that bums me out the most.
But this is extremely sad to me is that Vampiro was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, which is horrible. My dad had Alzheimer's.
Like that, it's terrifying. Like that's I genuinely feel like Alzheimer's and dementia are if I had to pick an illness that I am most scared of, it's that. Because even with the stuff that will kill you much sooner and painfully, but not knowing, just being aware of your surroundings, like it's one of those things where it's like even on like TV shows, I hate when they
make jokes about Alzheimer's.
Not even jokes.
They just mention it
when they mention it, and like when a character has like a loved one going through it or something. It's so just like it's so terrifying, and thankfully it hasn't affected like personally, it hasn't affected like anyone in my family, but it's
I can recall one time in particular, I went to my dad's place when he was living alone, and this is after he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia, and it was pretty bad. And he opened the door with a knife pointed at me and asked me who I was. He literally sat there with a knife pointed at me, and I had to talk him down, explain to him who I was. It was a couple months before he passed away, so he was in the later parts of his life. But it was terrifying to be there through that, and I can't imagine what he was going through,
right.
being confused and not knowing his own son, who he saw like every day.
Yeah.
The vampire is only, I just looked it up, 51.
I was looking that up too. Yeah, 51.
51 years old. So I'm assuming it's early Alzheimer's.
And that is like, even so, there's still no cure for Alzheimer's, but there have been not even breakthroughs, but like there have been steps and progress made, especially towards the early side of things. So I mean,
if you can catch it, there's things you can do to
minimize its
effect,
minimize its growth and its progress. So and even his like his Facebook post is actually a little bit funny because he's like, I'm not scared, I'm just pissed off. Like, I ain't letting this, like, no, it's not going to be Alzheimer's that brings me down.
Yeah.
I am a little worried about Parkinson's because that might cut into my PlayStation time. And it's just like, damn it, Vampiro.
If you ever want to watch something that you'll just cry. You'll just cry for hours.
well, that means I'm not going to watch it.
There's a documentary about Glenn Campbell.
Nope.
The country musician. You know about this?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
It's called I'll Be Me, and it's after he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, him living with it and going on one last tour, even though his mind's starting to slip away.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Can't do it.
Absolute brutal. I've only watched trailers, and I feel like I'm going to tear up just talking about it. No, I can't. I'm not good. I'm not good with life, man.
No,
that's why I like porn and wrestling and pizza because
Ghost bait
because they don't matter.
Which
in the long
kind of
run.
sounds like a porn.
Ghost bait.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about that. It's like jail bait but dead.
Yeah, that is what we talked about.
We did talk about that.
I need to listen
but I
to
think
it
that was on the
yesterday.
pre-show, wasn't it?
Oh.
No.
Oh, was that on the actual show?
Oh,
Okay.
well, good.
Cool.
That's Freezy's.
I
I
will
think.
I will say I like how
No, it was the pre-show.
Was the pre-show? Okay.
which you can
You
listen
got to pay $1 for that.
just $1.
Yeah.
Because we brought it up to try and sell.
The $1
That's the selling point.
the $1 pre-show will get you all of your ghost bait needs tonight.
We talked about it
last
tonight.
night.
Yeah.
I also very much that Allie said we instead of they. She's
joined in.
She's implicit now.
Yeah. This is really cool.
Complicit. Words are hard.
And just once again, like I truly hope Vampiro does. I was never a big Vampiro fan. That shouldn't matter, obviously, because he's a human being.
Right.
I really hope that they do make strides in this and diseases.
I didn't know how divisive of a figure Vampiro apparently is, because it was the same thing as like Nia Jax's injury of just like people are on like of which is I don't like it when people are like, well, I'm not a fan, but just because. No, I mean, but that's not really what you did. It's when people like go out of their way to point out like, here's the things I don't like about him, but still.
But I hope he's okay.
Yeah, it's like I don't know why that never sits well with me.
Because it's like just say I hope he's okay.
Right.
Why do you have to point out the flaws?
You don't need to like qualify it unless
Right.
and I get why people do it because they want to point out like no like even though like because like no I can see past the performer and the person and like that shouldn't affect your opinion of a human, but I don't know, that's a weird just personal tick.
I found the Facebook post you were talking about.
His?
Yeah. He straight up says Alzheimer's, it's been detected, is bullshit. Just that it's like I am worried about Park. Like I saw that part, but he just called Alzheimer's bullshit.
Yeah, it's so. But yeah, it was a lot of people of just like, I'm not, like I didn't like his commentary on Lucha Underground or like stuff in AAA.
Yeah, I remember something about him and like Johnny Nitro and Taya Valkyrie. That
and then but they're like, but yeah, this is awful. Hopefully, wishing him the best. Which is like it's good to see that. Like you don't want to see people celebrate
because I mean it's not like. Someone out there is going to go, well, what about you guys? You didn't feel bad for Jimmy Snuka when he was diagnosed with. Did he have Alzheimer's?
He had like 50.
No, yeah,
things.
he was because he was so like mentally incompetent.
They couldn't try
They
him.
couldn't put him up on trial.
The difference is Vampiro never killed anybody.
Yeah, as far as
and then covered it up.
Yeah,
Although if anyone
allegedly,
would have.
allegedly,
He
like
hangs out
Snuka.
with those damn insane clown posses.
Whoop, whoopity, whoop, whoop.
He's got 2 jugglers on phone right now.
They're juggalos.
No, they're juggling the phones.
Yeah, whoop whoop. Ninja. See you ninjas there. Impact is teaming with Booker T's Reality of Wrestling for an event in Houston on July 6th. That's very cool.
Deep Impact.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
It's a terrible movie, though.
You just made someone mad somewhere.
I went there. Probably Cody when
'Cause
he's not
don't people-
watching Emoji Movie again.
Isn't Deep Impact and like Armageddon, like didn't those come out like the same weekend or something?
Yeah, and actually, I take
nonsense?
it back. Deep Impact was the smart one because there was one with like Morgan Freeman and Taya Leone, which was Deep Impact, and then there was
Brad Pitt
then-
and Bruce Willis. It was cheaper to train oil drillers how to be astronauts than it was to teach the astronauts how to like drill into the asteroid. Or with Ben Affleck
Ben Affleck, yeah, because they literally went up there and they drilled a hole into
Yeah.
the
to put the bomb in.
yeah.
Is
I
that the
don't
one that
wanna
also had
close
Bruce
my
Willis?
eyes.
Yes.
Okay.
And had the song, I don't want to close my eyes.
Thanks, Aerosmith.
The only good thing that ever came from that, no
Was that
shit,
song?
was, on Saints Row 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fuck
Climbing
yeah.
the rocket to destroy, and they're playing that song. That is awesome.
That was a
Anyway.
good $50,000 joke right there.
Yes. Or Aerosmith just didn't know.
Yeah.
One day their kids are going to play it. Well, their great kids because they're a little older. They're going to be playing it and be like, that's my song.
They're a little older. Jesus Christ.
Little older.
Yeah, but like
Liv
Mick
Tyler's
Jagger,
one of my favorite actresses, though.
Mick Jagger, like they're
True
never
story.
going away. Ever.
Or Keith Richards.
He's pickled in his own drugs.
I'm trying to think of because there was something else to go with reality or wrestling.
He looks like
No, but it is cool because Impact has been doing that more and more because they just recently did the thing with Ohio Valley.
Yeah, so they're pairing with like not necessarily independent companies, but like smaller
Like training
like
organizations.
training organizations.
I'm glad
to put on
you
shows.
spoke up because I was about to make a Greg Valentine joke to keep it going. But
No, go ahead. I want to hear it.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
I was going to say, we were talking about Mick Jagger and I mentioned Keith Richards. Keith Richards and Greg Valentine kind of look like a leather shoe combo. Like you would.
I thought you were going to say Keith Richards was the handbag to the purse.
Damn
or like
it.
the wallet.
Damn it. Why didn't I think of that one? That's better. Is this going to impact Booker T and WWE in any way? Or do you think WWE
That was
signed off on it?
And that's what the interesting thing is. It's like so they just put him in the Hall of Fame or as a two-time person, and then he turns around and immediately starts working with Impact.
But
that
they
said,
have worked with Impact.
That said, like I don't think that
Well,
this
like,
is gonna because I genuinely think that like because they're still in this rebuilding phase, like WWE does not truly see Impact as like a major.
But on it,
competitor.
but as just kind of comparing and contrasting, Kurt Hawkins runs a wrestling school. Create a Pro. Jesus, that came out weird. Create a Pro. And they are like actively on like their podcast are promoting a show and they're saying this exact verbiage of featuring AEW superstar Penelope Ford. And it's like, well, I mean, Kurt Hawkins books this show. He booked Penelope Ford.
Yeah.
And they're like, and he's a tag champ right now. So obviously, like, that's not
because
there
it's
as
not
much.
because it's
And I was going to say about Impact, do you think that the WWE now they see AEW as the threat? Do you think they'd be more open to working with places like Impact in almost a not in a oh look at us we can do this kind of way, but just it's smart business because they did the same thing with ECW when WCW rose.
Yeah, but they have NXT now.
That's true. Yeah.
Also, most famous graduate of Creative Pro Wrestling, MJF.
I didn't know that. Did you see the video from a couple weeks ago of him as like a 8-year-old on the Rosie O'Donnell show?
No.
It hit his Twitter and like he started tweeting about it, but it's him like singing like opera, but he's like, but it's like little kid singing opera.
Yeah, I know where the story's
What
going.
a little kid thinks is opera,
That's-
and so she brought him on the show.
That's still not the best when they were younger stories. My favorite when they were younger videos.
John Cena at Ready to Rumble.
No, that's funny though. No, it still makes me like
Wasn't John
smile
Cena, that was the
when
prototype.
you see little AJ Lee go up to Lita.
Oh,
Lita,
Lita, yeah.
That was legitimately sweet. And
I
she
s-
cries
yeah.
like, oh my god.
I still really like the picture of it's the side. They always do it as the side by side of Zack Ryder holding Razor Ramon's Intercontinental Championship, and then Scott Hall holding Zack Ryder's Intercontinental Championship. I just think that's
Rob Van Dam kissing, or Rob Van Dam and $1 Million Man. Whenever Rob Van Dam was a
I've seen
kid,
that one.
it was like $1 Million Man would do those things like dribble a ball 3 times.
Oh, and he
And
kicked
Van
it.
Damme was
yeah.
one of them.
So I think
Yeah.
it was either that one or Van Dam kissed his foot whenever they were doing
okay.
that gimmick too. But yeah, no, like he was one of those kids.
Still, the best Rob Van Dam gif is him trying to go for all the high fives, like no one's doing it, and then Sting hits him with the chair.
takes the
Takes
mask
the
off.
mask.
Sorry, excuse me. Someone in a Sting mask hits him with the chair and then takes the mask off, and it's actually Sting.
That will always go down as did they do this for the end? Like somebody they were laughing backstage. This is going to be a
that was a rib.
or did they
Yeah.
go? This is going to be good.
This is
And they
great.
won't
They'll
because they
know.
already think they won't think he's Sting because he's wearing the mask.
Exactly.
Speaking of John Cena and his part in Ready to Rumble was fantastic. My favorite John Cena is skin of a hot dog John Cena. You know? Variety reports that he is in talks with WWE to join the Suicide Squad reboot.
Also,
Yes.
it's WB.
What did I say?
WWB.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it was just that you kind of stammered.
I think I stammered. Yeah.
Stammered and it sounded like WWB, and I'm like, that frog got a
Well, I was
Stone
thinking,
Cold
I
vest.
can't make fun of that frog. Fuck that frog, racist ass frog. So, who do you think John Cena would play if he were going to play a legitimate hero or villain? I guess,
No, I mean he would play one of the Suicide Squad.
or
I
Rick
would
Flag.
think.
He'd be a good Rick Flag.
I mean, they could recast Rick Flag. This is such a weird thing,
Yeah.
because they're making it clear, like everything that they're saying is this is a total reboot,
Right.
except Margot Robbie's gonna still be in it.
Yeah.
Captain Boomerang's coming back.
Yes, he was awesome.
Amanda Waller's coming back.
Jack Courtney.
So like a bunch of the original actors are still on board. Idris Elba's not going to be Deadshot just because like they didn't want to.
A good actor.
Well,
They wanted to
because
get Will Smith back.
They're going to keep Will Smith because it was just a scheduling thing is why he couldn't come back.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Will Smith actually was not bad as Deadshot. He
No,
was
I
one of my
loved him
favorite
in that
parts.
movie.
But he was just Will Smith.
The acting, that's Will Smith in every Will
Yeah.
Smith movie.
Yes. Yeah.
The acting in that movie was like 99th on the list of a million problems. Like it's no one's blaming the actors for
but
that.
damn, Idris Elba is. Oh.
Would have been amazing. But
Idris Elba is literally anybody.
So I could almost see him.
except Killer Croc, because you
could-
keep Adewale.
I could almost see him coming in as Rick Flag, Elba, or Cena, like either one.
Cena's just got such a
There's-
military look
He
in
really
everything
does.
he's in.
But apparently, like King Shark is a character that's going to be in it. The polka dot man. What I don't remember the name.
Dusty Rhodes?
No. Shit. There's a DC villain. and his whole thing is he's polka dots.
What the?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what-
DC's kind of dumb.
You really want to go against some MCU now. Next, they'll bring out Calendar Man, who's actually
He's pretty
legitimately
cool.
good.
They
character,
I
yeah.
mean, they made him cool in the Arkham games, but
Yeah.
it took some reworking.
and you had to set your system to the right times. Like, it got weird.
It's a true story.
But yeah, so but see, he's in talks. He hasn't been cast as anything. Let me see if I can find the article that I found earlier. Although the article that I pulled this from said that Idris Elba was going to be playing as Deadshot, which is not true. Like they've come out and said like no, because out of respect for Will Smith's portrayal.
I mean, it's not like Heath Ledger where they didn't want to cast the Joker again. I mean, Will Smith
Right.
didn't die.
Well, and I'm assuming that they're hoping that this can continue to be like this will be a franchise.
Well, James Gunn is doing this one, right?
Yes.
So there's a shot, at least.
I feel like the meeting for this was just we get a do-over. We get a do-over.
Well, how are we going to do a do-over? Well, we got James Gunn. He got fired from Guardians. And James Gunn walked in like, I'm going to change everything around. We're going to do this. Hold on, let me take this phone call. Oh, I am? All right, I got to go.
No,
I'm going
see,
to go do Guardians again.
It's the opposite. What happened is they fired him. James Gunn gets hired at WB. Disney comes crawling back. And he's like, all right, yeah, I'll do Guardians. I'm doing Suicide Squad 2 first, though.
Yeah.
So production on Guardians 3 cannot start until he's finished with Suicide Squad.
Also, I want Groot in Suicide Squad. Make it happen. I don't care if he's in the background. He could be a tree. No one will know.
I'm just going to point at a random tree and be like, hey, that's Groot. Like,
It'll count.
that's a Groot Easter egg.
While he's doing that, Road Dogg has stepped down as co-writer for SmackDown. That's a pretty interesting story. And
There's a lot going on about it.
Well,
though.
what I read was that he was frustrated because he had written out this entire thing for the week, and then apparently he was super busy. He was at home. He was working at the office. Dude was working pretty hard, and then Vince just kind of swooped in, said, "Never mind, none of this."
Yeah, the whole show's being rewritten again.
And I get that. Like, I get it. Anytime you write something up, like when you have a plan and you have dedicated all day and time to it, and someone higher than you is just like, nah. Mm-hmm. It's like, really? And especially when it's Vince McMahon. Because that's
in weeks and weeks, like every week it happens.
Right. It's got to be frustrating. I remember when Mick Foley talked about he did commentary briefly, and then he got sick of Vince McMahon screaming in his ear all the time.
Right.
Stuff like that you have to be prepared for it to happen, but at the same time that does not lessen the impact of when it does happen.
Yeah.
It can be so discouraging. So I don't blame Road Dogg for this. I don't know where they put him now because apparently he's not fired. They're going to use him in a different capacity. He's just not co-writer
Yeah.
anymore.
And I feel like a big part of that is because Billy Gunn is part of AEW that they're like, we're not going to let you go.
By the way, they cut that comment out of the Hall of Fame broadcast. If you didn't notice,
They cut
They
that.
cut a lot.
They cut
Yeah.
a 30-minute speech down to 5 minutes. I don't blame. They also took out the erectile motherfucker.
looks like you're having
you get
erectile
that word
tongue
out?
dysfunction. What was the erectile dysfunction joke?
Whenever Billy had the super soaker and he shot it and it went just dribbled out, and then Triple H was like, "It's all right. It happens when you get that happens when you get older." It would have been funny if they just went into a Blue Chew commercial for it. I can say Blue Chew perfectly fine, but I can't say erectile dysfunction.
I don't know what Blue Chew is. That sounds like
It is-
Pikachu's like.
it is a pill that in a lot of the popular wrestling podcasts now that they are promoting. And no, we're not sponsored by them.
Well, hold on, let me just off camera real quick. Does it get your dick hard?
Yeah, no. So it's like Viagra, but it's in like chewable form, and like you don't really like. You should probably go to a
Doesn't
doctor.
come from a real doctor.
Yeah, like you can probably get it without a prescription, but like you probably shouldn't get a dick pill without.
You shouldn't get anything that is going to mess with the chemicals in you much without going to a doctor. I
Especially
found
if it's
that out
going to
the
make a
hard way.
lot of blood go to one certain place and not others. Like,
I was there for a while. I was taking like focus enhancing pills, which made you like focus more, made your sex life better, and all that stuff. And when the doctor found out, Asa, you were there.
Yeah.
He was just like, "Yeah, don't do that.
Mhm.
That's probably not good." When
I'm
your
glad a
blood pressure's 190
I'm glad
over.
a doctor told you instead of just me constantly like, hey, so those are like just stop.
Well, they can't sell them at Walmart if they're unhealthy.
but the Conrad Thompson like plugs for Blue Chew are awesome just because he says hashtag super hard dick all the time, and I'm a child, and I think that's hilarious.
I'm glad that we could treat this with respect, and because erectile dysfunction is not a joke. Millions of people suffer from it every day.
Yes, but then when you have a hashtag, it helps.
Hashtag, flaccid matters.
Next
What are we
topic.
talking about?
Please, God.
So I'm assuming this was the thing
Road
I had heard about.
Oh yeah, the writer.
Please tell me you said that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I don't know why I thought a ghost. Because when we did the show last night, no shit.
Oh, ghost bait.
Last night, when we were talking about ghost bait, I literally said there is no solid evidence. There is no like tangible evidence of the paranormal. And you can't prove it right now. And as I said that, Allie, what happened?
There was a knock.
In this room. It sounded like it was right next to us. We
Yeah.
all stopped and looked and was like, well, that was weird. Anyway, Robert Evans, this is the guy that wrote the Vince thing, or is this the Vince McMahon they said during the Hall of Fame? Is this what ties
yeah.
it to?
Assuming,
Yeah.
yeah. So
R.D. Evans.
yeah,
Robert
so they during DX's speech, if you heard it, they were saying, we were told we can't mention Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they said
And they
Vince
made-
McMahon like 6 times.
Because they won't get fired.
They said Vince McMahon way more
Yeah,
than
like 20,
6.
yeah, like 20 times.
Because what happened was, apparently it is said in the back that nobody is to thank Vince McMahon during their speech. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
Honestly, I kind of get it because like if literally everyone in that Hall of Fame has to thank Vince McMahon. They would not have the career that they had,
Yeah.
the notoriety they had, if
Yeah.
it wasn't for Vince McMahon.
So it's a given.
Other than like Sting, but 99.9% would just be. And Vince had the idea for the character. Vince fine-tuned the character in some way. He's so hands-on that everything we see, good and bad, goes through Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
So he is responsible for Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, which is my favorite wrestling moment of all time, possibly.
Yeah.
He's also responsible for Katie Vick. Like, yeah, so you take the good with the bad. That said, like, so when the Hall of Fame being a celebration of all of the good in pro wrestling,
You don't want to bring up the bad?
no, not even that, but you're going to have, how many inductees were there this year?
2 tag teams, 4. Tori.
Like 6 or 7, wasn't there?
No, because then you got it was like 12 if you count everybody in DX.
No, I'm
There's
talking
a
like
group,
how many
though.
speeches?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like how many on a typical Hall of Fame?
like
you're gonna
6, 7.
you're gonna have like 6 to 7 speeches in every Hall of Fame every year. That means you're going to have 7 mentions of Vince McMahon, 7 Vince McMahon stories. Then the Hall of Fame kind of unintentionally becomes, hey, let's just suck off Vince for 3 hours.
Which, as you describe it, makes me wonder what he has a problem with. Because this is the same guy that put out a DVD that I own called McMahon, where it's entirely dedicated to him.
I
But-
feel like that DVD's in the giveaway pile at
Yes,
home
it
right
is.
now.
But I think the point of the Hall of Fame, and I think he recognizes that the point of the Hall of Fame is not
Not
about
for him.
him. This is a celebration of these people who have given so much of themselves to his company.
Yeah.
So I get
So-
why he wouldn't want his name mentioned like by every speech. That said, the overreaction that happens apparently.
Yeah, to get fired for
Yeah,
it?
Which
so what happened was...
but he says he did not get fired. He says that he was apparently just getting his ass chewed in Gorilla, so he just quit and walked off, and
So-
so he quit WWE.
Dalton, did he write the speech that they said it, or did just someone he wrote a speech for mentioned it?
He wrote and produced.
Yeah,
So-
he wrote and produced Brett's speech, and Brett mentioned Vince.
which apparently like
Now, I
had
need
to go through multiple levels because he should like when so if Brett wrote his speech, he then had to take it to Evans, and Evans has to look it over and be like, okay, well you can't talk about Vince. Okay, so then that goes to the producer of the segment, who might have also been him, I'm not sure, but then it has to go to the person like running the teleprompter because like so it's supposed to go through like
It's
multiple
multi-tiered,
levels.
yeah.
It's multi-tiered of you have to go through and do all of this.
Now,
And,
it's
you know-
also one of those things, and again, I don't know. I had no say or even knowledge of how those speeches work,
Mhm.
but I need to go back and listen to it, because if it was pre the douchebag attacking Brett, at that point, I feel like you get a pass. If it showed up on the teleprompter, then yes.
No, that's
but
the thing.
it's
Is, like
also
this wasn't a from all accounts, this was not a just off the cuff, oh, and by the way.
It was
this
in the
was
speech.
it was written in the speech, it was on the teleprompter, and it should have never gotten
that far.
that to that point.
You mentioned Robert Evans, also known as Archibald Peck, right?
Yes.
And I just looked it up. I did not know he was 35.
Yeah. He's
Like-
young he's on the younger side.
When you hear like writers for WWE, like speech writers and stuff like that, especially you think maybe a little bit older in season, like that's so young to be. No, I don't know. Why does he not wrestle anymore? Was it injury or just he just got a job
I think
writing?
he got a job working in WWE. I mean, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here, like what kind of role he pursues. Like
That's
if he
just-
decides to start wrestling again,
that's so
or if
ridiculous.
he, goes into the like production.
That's so
Because
ridiculous.
I'm sure like someone who has because he's been doing it for a while with WWE too. So I mean, he could like have he could go to ROH or Impact or
AEW.
AEW, yeah. Which also ROH apparently has like it's still kind of breaking news and it's a lot of unconfirmed reports, but apparently there's like a huge backstage shakeup going on that is kind of throwing some things in turmoil allegedly. But
Fucking Enzo and Cass show up, and this is what happens.
excuse you, it's Enzo and Kaz XL, the free agents.
I hate that you're correct.
I hate that I still kind of like them as a duo.
Oh no, I love them as a duo.
Like I can't help it. When I saw the commercial for their little shirts, I was like,
oh yeah, I was like, I saw that and I was like, yeah, no, I still very much
Is
like
that what
them.
you showed me?
yeah,
Yeah.
And my response was, it's like Kaz XL isn't that bad when you're not giving him a script.
Most of them are, to be fair. Like most wrestlers, if you just tell them go out there and talk, I mean that's how they used to do it in the '80s.
And he even kind of we saw improvement during his solo run, like from when he
Yeah.
started to like before he got released. But
Before he was doing the Adam Sandler,
Why would he
the
call himself it?
Cass XL.
No, I'm fine with Casazel. Enzo.
I mean, it's just
It's-
Enzo.
Well, yeah, I know, but like, he raps under Real One.
because
But-
Just call yourself that.
But
Yeah.
you saw the T-shirt. You saw like it's the knockoff
NWO,
logo
yeah,
that he can
NZO.
do. It's
Yeah.
just NZO.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean,
I
he's
hate when people do knockoff NWO shirts.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
someone
Yeah.
get Jim Cornette's lawyer on the
Yeah.
phone. Tell him about this pro wrestling unscripted thing.
No, we haven't sold that shirt in over a year. Nobody cares.
remembers.
Yeah.
People still wear them though. I see him at the CCW shows all the time.
They'll
That's
pop
what
up
I'm
every once. Yeah,
Yeah.
Barbed Wire's usually always wearing
saying.
his.
Yeah. Well, he's a good man. Shane Strickland. Cool news. Shane Strickland,
Yes.
Kushida,
Swerve.
and Garza Jr. report to the Performance Center.
So pumped
That's a loaded class.
with only 3 people.
Did you hear about Punishment Martinez's new name?
Yes, that was actually something I wanted to bring up when we talked about Raw.
Oh, okay.
Because in the same week, we have the worst name change in the history of name changes. They finally outdone Michael McGillicuddy. But in the exact same week, they come up with a baller-ass name.
Yeah,
and maybe
I
it's
like it.
because I'm a 15-year-old edgelord still at heart.
Yes.
But Damian Priest.
That is the most like it's a Reaper alt skin in Overwatch. They've got a game coming out. It's an indie game, but
Mhm.
yeah,
No,
Damian Priest it's a step above.
It's-
What was the guy from Impact that
Judas Messias.
yeah, I thought that was a cool name.
Yeah.
But Damian Priest, that's something I'd put in one of my stories.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool, but I really like Punishment Martinez.
No, see, this is cool.
It's not as good as Damian Priest.
Because Punishment's not a name. Like, Punishment would be
It's
like
what
a
you do.
moniker. Yeah.
I put it up there when they changed, from Fergal Devitt to Finn Balor. Good change. Good change. Yeah. And by the way, Shane Strickland, not.
You're being a dick.
I was gonna say I love his theme song, and I wish they could keep it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm a dick for that. I guess I'm the only one that likes classic 70s like disco,
Well, it was Shaka Khan.
which is 70s disco.
Is it?
Probably.
It's not.
I'll admit
That
to
song
not being
was-
up on Shaka Khan.
That song came out in 03, man. You're our Lord.
Yeah, say you are
20 out
old as
three.
hell.
Her career spanned 5 decades, beginning in the 70s.
All right, so let me know when that song came out.
All right.
What's
What's
the
the name
next-
of the song?
Ain't Nobody.
Ain't nobody
It's on my phone.
love me better.
No, I am super excited for Shane Strickland though. I think he'll do that'll be a fun one in NXT. He's one of those people that
hell, 1983.
suck it.
Yeah.
He's one of those people that I don't think he'll ever be the top guy in any of the things in WWE, but he's that's a perfect North American.
I'm gonna say
champion.
I'm gonna say a phrase to you. Shane Strickland versus Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, no. Whenever I saw the picture, because Sadie sent it to me, or Sadie tagged me in the NXT post, I saw it, and my first thought was, if they can get a song kind of like Ain't Nobody, and then have him face Velveteen Dream,
The CFO's knockoff of Ain't Nobody.
but he can still do the same entrance.
There
Was no
isn't
one.
anyone.
Just like my little
The
heart.
Lonely Experience.
Fuck.
Fun fact, do you remember what Velveteen Dream's original gimmick and name was?
The Velveteen Experience?
Nope.
What was
The
it?
Patrick Clark Experience.
That's what it was.
They really like the experience. The Joe Rogan experience.
I don't think that's a WWE one.
I'm thinking about the joke he made whenever we mentioned Kairi Sane and Asuka. I'm not going to say what it was. No, I should say because now it sounds worse. If I don't say it, someone called it the sushi experience.
Oh, that's not nearly as what I thought it was going somewhere else.
I think I put a list of ones after that may have been worse.
Was one the happy ending experience?
No.
Oh,
mine was like
Jesus
the Yin Yang
Christ.
twins.
Anyway. Fucking anyway.
Don't high five me. Let's talk about Raw and SmackDown. Let's start with Raw.
No, I don't want to talk about.
You're skipping a story.
Am I really?
Yeah, you're skipping at least one.
Oh, shit, my bad. I didn't know what this was. Fighter Festival?
Okay, so I have to eat crow here because this was actually announced last week, and I didn't put it on the news list because
Mania?
because it was I thought this was just a bit for Being the Elite or Road to All or Nothing, because it's if you watch the teaser video and you go to the website, this is just a total fuck you to rip off of the Fire Festival. And it's amazing. But it's Kenny Omega and All Elite Wrestling partnering with CEO, and they're actually putting on a show. But part of it is there's the Nightmare helicopter ride. Take a wonderful tour of the Fighter Fest Island in a private helicopter ride with Cody Rhodes. Package includes horseback ride to the helicopter, 3-pack of American Rebel cigars, accommodates 2 flights and hotel, gourmet cheese sandwich.
Jesus.
But it's sold out.
Aw.
They're all sold out except for let's see if I can find the one. There's one, it's the all-in package. If you want the full experience of Fighter Fest, this is the package for you. You get everything above, and it's $3.5 billion.
Jesus.
That's
so
funny.
now there are so many billionaires out there who have to
Jericho's
choose
lion
between
taming,
that or Notre Dame.
Super kick luau. So it's all just super tongue-in-cheek,
But it's real.
but it's a real thing. I don't know if they have a date though, but they've announced matches for it. It's in Daytona Beach, Florida, Saturday, June 29th. The Daytona Beach Ocean Center. And the
Better watch out, brother.
the 2 matches that we have announced so far are Cody versus Havoc.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy Havoc. And the other match is the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega against Penta, Phoenix, and Pac.
So many
So
clips.
that
Hold on.
match is gonna be stupid.
Damn, I was about to do that. Let me just give you. That's gonna be stupid, but you can beat me to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be real gross. But yeah, and then there's gonna be like other stuff attached to it. But so yeah, I genuinely thought it was just a fake like joke thing, that a video that he threw together. Nope, it's an actual event,
Can you?
which is hilarious. So everyone should go to. Everyone should go. It's FYTER, CEOgaming.org.
So I looked up Fighter Festival, and the first thing that pops up. Did you mean Fire Festival?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like
no.
no, they did not.
No. I forget what game it was, but talk about ridiculous packages. There was a game that you could get. There was a collector's edition that came with like a $3 million car. And I can't remember what game it was. I want to say maybe it was a Saints Row, where there was a version that had like a legit one of the cars from the game that you would get the game plus like an all expense paid trip to the studios.
Mm-hmm.
You would get all this stuff and you actually bought the car, and it was millions of dollars. I'm not making this up. I don't think they sold it, but that was something someone tried.
Wow. I mean, Devil May Cry 5 had that like
The jacket.
$500 edition that you got an
Ethan
actual like
almost
leather.
got that.
I'm not even a little bit surprised.
No,
by that.
too much money, not enough sense is what we call that. Let's talk about Raw.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the worst name change of all time, and I can't believe this was real. I thought it was a joke. I thought you guys were just making fun of the name that they had, but this is legitimately the name. Asa, what's that name?
The name was
She popped.
they were War Machine. Then they signed to NXT, had to change War Machine. Now they're the War Raiders.
Which, like, cool.
War Machine's a way better name.
Yeah.
War Raiders doesn't have the flow.
But it grew on me.
But, like, it
never
works.
grew on me, but they at least kept the war part because they got the war chants going. So it's cool. And they're a great tag team. It's just a personal thing. I didn't like the name. I will concede that War Raiders is a gajillion, villion, billion, zillion times better than Ivar and Eric, the Viking Experience.
So, I watched...
coming soon to the Epcot Center.
Yeah.
That is the dumbest thing
I was
I've
watching
heard
it
since
live.
Ghost Bait.
And so, like, it's too, like, the
Haunting
Raw
experience.
after Mania was last week. So, like, we were, Sadie and I were, like, sitting at home watching it, and I was dicking around on my phone, and all of a sudden I hear the dump, and I'm like, War Raiders! And I got super excited. Like, ignorantly excited. And then Sadie's like, it says Viking Experience. And I'm like, and then the nameplate shows up, and I'm like, okay. And then I was kind of okay with it. And then I hear two names that weren't Hansen and Rowe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what in the actual fuck did they just say Igor?
Ivar.
But they said like three different names.
Ivar and Eric.
Ivar and Eric.
The Viking Experience.
Which Eric Rowan sent a tweet of Eric to Rowan and then Rowe to Eric. Just like,
where do you begin on this? Because that is the worst name change I've ever heard.
And
it makes no sense.
here's the thing. It is so bad, but what is the story coming out of Monday Night Raw of the Superstar Shakeup?
The Viking Experience.
Talking about it.
That's true.
yeah, but
And it's
like,
getting a lot of coverage.
But it's only going to last
Granted,
so
they
long.
still have to wrestle as the Viking Experience unless
Right.
they do a thing where they're like, they, go off script and demolish someone.
What was Emelina?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was
Yeah.
about to say, oh, bitch face. Ronda Rousey?
I don't know. I think more of Emelina where they'll come out and be like, this is a stupid name. We are the War Raiders.
Yeah.
Or a new name, We are the
But like, I think it's
Help.
And maybe this is the issue with NXT, where you have like these guys wrestle every week. You see them every week. They literally just had their takeover, and they wrestled as Hansen and Rowe, the War Raiders, less than
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, like
So-
10 days ago.
But would it have been okay if they had come to NXT originally as Viking Experience? You think anyone would care? Or
oh
would
no,
it
no,
still
I mean,
be
it would have gotten shit on, but
Yeah.
we would have gotten used to it by now.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been like, okay, you have now. It would be like, you don't just change someone's name because you already have to like. The NXT call-ups already have a rough enough time because they have to go half and half of, all right, so we have this smaller audience who knows who we are and is now familiar with us, but now we have to go to the mainstream WWE audience who 80% of those people have never seen them before.
Right.
So, and now you're removing all of that goodwill you built up in NXT. of just like, oh, this is so stupid. And they're still the NXT Tag Team Champions. So are they going to be stripped of the titles? Are they going to compete on NXT now as the Viking Experience?
No, they're the War Raiders on NXT, but the Viking Experience on Raw. But lost my point because I don't know why Allie's giving me a look over here.
But I hate that they changed it. I hate that they.
It's stupid.
It's stupid.
It's so stupid.
Because they didn't wrestle any different. They're
still doing the war chant, which doesn't make a lot of sense now.
Well, who picked the name? That's what I want to know.
It's Vince. You know this is Vince because I can see him. Viking Experience. You know what it is. You know what you're getting.
You're gonna go out there and you're gonna puke.
It's like so. Were people unfamiliar enough with? Are people unfamiliar enough with what a Viking is? That it has to be like hammered into their head. Like
they should have called it the Skyrim experience. I would have preferred that. The Dova Kings.
The Dova Kings.
Dova Kings.
Yeah, no, that ain't terrible.
Yeah, it's better than the Viking experience. Did you see? There was I don't know what it was, but it was like a Viking history center or something like that. It was something huge with Viking culture. Replied about it. And they actually tagged like WWE and like, maybe you'd like to come see, what real Viking stuff is. And I think it was Eric is his name now. Reply is like, we'd love to visit you. We had a great time last time we were there.
Because they legit are really into that. Like Ro and Sarah Logan just had a Viking wedding.
Yeah.
But the Viking
I'm willing to say
experience,
he would get off on that. Just be like, I'll go back. It was fun.
Well, now he knows what he is at least, because it's in the name.
Yeah,
and it's an experience.
The helmet that had 8 feet of hair coming off of it didn't tell him enough.
War Raider, what
does that even mean?
Like the thing from Star Wars?
Yeah, the Tusken Raiders, but it's Star Wars War Raiders.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a sci-fi thing, I would assume.
Or War Machine. There's only 2 War Machines I know of. One is a incredible pilot and hero,
James Rhodey,
and the other is one of the biggest piece of shits on earth. So I get why they changed the name War Machine. But
I understand why they had to change the name.
For both legal reasons and because you don't want that association.
But that said, I also War Machine is such a cool name, and War Raiders it's a miss for me.
Which is why I got
I'm in the
so
wrong.
pissed off, and I'm not going to talk about the piece of shit much, but when he legally changed his name to War Machine, I was like, oh, you fucking dick.
Yeah.
To take such a cool... No, fuck that guy. On so many levels. All right. Otherwise on Raw, I haven't seen anything from either show.
Other than this, it was all pretty much just built around the shakeup. There wasn't a whole lot of...
Which we're already at hour 20, so I doubt we can go through every one of these, but some important ones.
We'll just run through the list real quick, because I have it pulled up. So from SmackDown to Raw, AJ Styles, The Miz, Ricochet, Aleister Black, Eric and Ivar, the Viking Experience.
God.
That sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit of lounge singers who are Vikings.
Andrade and Zelina Vega, Rey Mysterio, the Usos, Naomi, EC3, Lacey Evans, Eric Young, and Cedric Alexander. And then...
Wait, hold on. EC3 went to Raw?
He was so he and Lacey Evans and Heavy Machinery were never officially... And Nikki Cross were never officially on any show.
Okay.
They were just floating back and forth because they called them up with nothing for them to do.
Yes,
so so now they're finally put on shows, except for Nikki Cross, who still hasn't actually been, because they also forgot about her probably.
And left her out of the game.
SmackDown got Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, the Intercontinental Champion. Also worth noting, Samoa Joe was supposed to be on Raw as the United States Champion. He's going to start a feud with Braun, but he has the flu.
So he couldn't be on?
Because the flu, I understand how people die from that now. Because...
Tis a mofo.
It fucking
I don't think
sucks.
I've ever had the flu.
I've had it once.
It is the absolute worst. So Roman, Finn Balor, Elias, Bailey, Ember Moon, Kairi Sane, Lars Sullivan, Buddy Murphy, Liv Morgan, Chad Gable, Apollo Crews, Mickey James, and Heavy Machinery, Otis and Tucker.
Do you get the feeling almost, and I don't think hearing you read that list makes me think it's less skewed towards one show than I originally did, because I originally thought, man, Raw got all these great superstars and SmackDown didn't really get much. No, SmackDown got a pretty good list. But the big story is, of course, it kind of feels like when they traded, Dalton, was it Triple H that they traded to SmackDown?
For the Dudleys and Booker T.
And there was somebody else, but it was those three.
Yeah, it was like
because they got traded back to Raw immediately for those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like they're doing a similar thing with Roman, where they're like, yeah, we gave all these great stars to Raw, but we got Roman Reigns. Come on, people.
Well, it wasn't a trade though; it was a shake.
Yeah, it was just
It
the
was.
shakeup. It was just the Vince McMahon announced Elias as the biggest acquisition in SmackDown history, and then Roman came out and interrupted. And,
which is relatively funny.
it's funny.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
The only things for me personally that were notable from Raw or SmackDown, other than the shakeup stuff, was on SmackDown the two things that happened. So it's the Viking experience on Raw, and
Stop
then
it. Stop saying that.
Big O, Kevin Owens trying to replace Big E. Because I'm assuming that could potentially go towards a heel turn of him. Also, on Raw and SmackDown, both Xavier Woods losing his mind because of SmackDown losing, up, down, down, lost 4 of their major people.
Yep.
They're 4 of their major contributors. So he posted a video of they took Miz and the Usos. They better give me Breeze. Oh, they better give me Breeze. And then 10 minutes later, it was announced AJ got moved, and he was just it's just a video of him just shaking his head in dejection. And then on the Kevin Owens show, he's just, if they don't give me Tyler Breeze by the end of the night, I'm going to lose my mind. Just lost it. I love that. Big O, and then
Stop saying Big O.
bringing up Kyrie, but not Io, and just putting Kyrie with Asuka. And this is going to sound more racist than what I'm assuming they intend it to be, but it's oh, well, Kyrie's a really good tag team and has this great chemistry with the one Japanese lady on
She'll
NXT.
have it with this one too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Now we're just subbing it out. And it's
I feel like they didn't move Io because she still hasn't won the women's title.
yeah, and that's going to be the feud going forward is it'll be her versus Baszler, and then probably Baszler eventually gets called up too. But
I think,
but to immediate, I'm fine with them splitting up the Sky Pirates, but to immediately just put her with
another Japanese wrestler.
It's the same thing we talked about with Chad Gable. As soon as he split with Jason Jordan, they put him straight with Shelton Benjamin.
Right.
Or
anytime there are
it's too much of a coincidence.
Anytime there are black athletes, they always put them together as a tag team. Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil tagged for a little while.
Yeah.
The New Day being put together.
Which the New Day was because they genuinely were friends and had great chemistry and knew that. As opposed to
Well, Asuka may know Kairi Sane. They may be. Friends on
I'm
some
sure
level,
they're familiar with each other, and if they don't flat out know each other, but at the
Right.
same time, it's just it seems too weird.
It reeks.
And I don't know. The whole page build up too of now it's someone on Reddit was pointing out it's oh well now it's instead of the Sky Pirates it's the Pirates of Tomorrow.
Don't like that as much.
Don't like it. No, not as much, but I don't know.
That's a straight up rip off of a Disneyland area.
It should be called the Pirates of Tomorrow Experience.
That's so much better.
Yeah.
Remember, it's when remember when everything had to be team?
Yeah.
Team Hell No, Team Rhodes Scholars.
Yeah.
Just now it's the experience.
The experience. The Elijah Experience. Remember that?
Elijah Burke,
Elijah Burke?
No.
Sylvester Terkay.
Was that the name of the team?
No,
I just
think
remember Elijah.
It was the name of his finisher. Was the
Okay, I
Elijah
remember
Experience.
Elijah Burke, and I remember that. I just don't remember. The
I
Elijah
really liked
Experience.
Elijah Burke. I really did.
The Pope, D'Angelo De Niro.
Did you ever see him on Full Circle into what we talked about earlier? Did you ever see him on the Ghost Hunters live episode?
Yeah, the ECW.
The only thing I remember from that is CM Punk just laughing his way through it.
There was a part, so Josh Gates hosted, and God bless him. I like Josh Gates, but he's not great. He did call it the WCE on more than one occasion, which was funny. And there was a part.
So wrong.
So Elijah Burke, he's sitting there on his phone, and something scares him, and he throws his phone up and flips out and screams. And they replay it, and Josh Gates says something like, "Brother lost his phone," or "Homie lost his phone," and he's as white as possible. And it came across way too
oh no,
a little
he's
itchy
trying.
there. Yeah,
like Carson Daly on TRL.
I'd have voted for Obama for a third term if I could.
well, if he wrestled in the WCE.
WCE.
So I guess that's pretty much it then.
And, I mean,
we
I
can bitch about more things, but
I don't have a whole lot. I mean, and I don't really have a lot of thoughts on the shakeup because it's always just one of those things where we just need to see how it plays out.
right. It's supposed to create fresh rivalries and stuff like that, and give Paige something to do, I guess, by commanding around 2 Japanese women. Good on her.
Mm-hmm.
So Europeans are controlling.
I will say I did kind of like how.
Yeah, think about it. Think about it for a second.
We've had too many Hitler references on
Fire
the show.
and Desire came out and Absolution back together, and she's like, nope, you're not the team. This is the team, actually. I kind of I dug that little bit of continuity. They're actually recognizing these characters have a history.
It's also almost though
You got a 50% shot of that happening.
Well,
and then
they'll
they'll just call you the Viking Experience.
Is it just me, or does it feel more and more increasingly like they don't give a shit about the women's division anymore, other than
Becky and
anyone that's Becky or Ronda, Allie?
Well, apparently,
speaking
Ronda's-
of WrestleMania injuries.
Oh yeah, Ronda broke her
hand.
hand.
Yeah.
And again, the rumors have started up that she wants to start a family while she's gone, which if she does, cool. Like that's great.
But she even put like an Instagram post about like alluding to that.
Oh well, that's good.
She
Very
flat out
much-
called it like the impregnation vacation.
Yeah,
or some
something
shit
like that. Yeah, it wasn't like
Jesus Christ.
yeah, it wasn't alluded to. She's
Well, at least
like,
they didn't call them that, the impregnation vacation. That's their new tag.
That's Travis
Experience.
Brown's. God.
Oh. All right. Well, the Viking experience wins.
No, they did. Well, they did.
We're getting out of here. You broke my brain. My head actually hurts now. Like legitimately. All right, we're going to get out of here. I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight.
No.
Oh, I thought you said no. I'm like,
I said, oh.
I also heard no, and I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?
fuck the fans.
You constantly shit on the people who actually give us money.
Yeah.
You're just
shit on them
you're
tonight.
just actively saying like no.
Thank you guys for listening. No.
We were gonna have a talk,
I don't care.
No,
like
no.
legit. Like
I
we
said,
were going.
oh. my
Was it a
bad.
picture of Allie's parents?
Yeah, it was. Her
Yeah.
mom pulled up in the people I may know.
Oh.
Yeah.
And her dad, because they have that. They have that shared one.
Facebook.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's weird.
They're both over the age of 50.
That's the only time it's acceptable.
Yeah.
otherwise,
Over
it's a
the
clear
age of
message.
50.
It's a clear. I don't trust you.
No, it was my mom made a Facebook, and then
I'm so sorry.
and then it was my dad. My mom was just like, "Your name's on it too. You can get on it too." And my dad looked at it like once, and he'll get on it every now and again. But
So when I'm gonna friend your mom and then just try to chat with your dad
please don't.
on the private messenger, be like, hey.
Please don't.
This is Dalton that they always talk about,
Yeah.
and then they would go unfriend, block, because that's how the conversations go. All right, thank you guys for tuning in tonight.
Go.
Okay, I'm just making sure you're not going to interrupt or disagree. Asa, hit us with those links.
Facebook.com/Podzilla1985, Twitter.com/Podzilla1985, Podzilla1985.com, and Patreon.com/Podzilla1985. Those are the plugs.
Okay.
Also, so Tuesday, we can either do a show.
Oh, we canceled all the shows next week.
I don't think that's true.
We talked about it. It's nothing set in stone, but we thought with Comic-Con coming up and crunch
Oh, it
time
is
for so many
Comic-Con.
of us,
Oh, it is Comic-Con.
we thought,
okay, that
like
actually does
we
make a
talked about
little
on the
bit
show
of sense.
last night, we were like, they'll do Nerd Up more than likely, but that may be our last show for the week until the next week because we are all so busy.
Yeah.
We
do
haven't
this week's-
decided yet.
So do this week's Nerd Up, but
Right.
not like the Sunday of the Comic-Con conventions.
No, because we have we have panels to do and
Right.
Oh shit!
shiz like that.
Yeah. So basically, it will be this coming Sunday will be Nerd Up, and then more than likely the whole week to that Nerd Up will be canceled, and the next show will be
Tuesday.
5-star, I think,
Mhm.
maybe. But we haven't decided yet. We're gonna get together and talk, all of us, about can we do shows? Because I know Mortal Kombat comes on Tuesday, and I know you really want to play that.
Well, because my idea was because we have the equipment here, I can just bring my Xbox in and we can do like a stream. And if we could get like you and like maybe Jesse or just someone
Just a
who wants
group here
like,
to play.
yeah,
I'd
just
be
to
fine
kinda
with
play
that
on stream, we
because
could
it
do
would
something
be
like that.
nice to just play games for once and not like try to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Because they won't come for us; they'll come for the combat. All right, Allie, take us out.
Bye.